workshop, just to make sure you're in the right place. If you're not,
There's still time to escape.
just stay with us. You would enjoy it. Today we are going to have our first workshop, as I mentioned. It is tips and tricks to be a successful grad student. I think all of you're already successful because you're in grad school. But you would be more successful, I think, because it's really important. All of us are dealing with different challenges in life, in grad school, or grad life. And this is why we invited Dr. No to be with us today. He's got his PhD and postdoc in the University of Illinois. But I have been in 3 out of his workshops. They were awesome. I'm telling you, they were awesome. That's great. I don't want to talk too much, but I'm talking.
Oh, go right ahead.
So, I love his attitude. He brings, I don't know from where he got that happiness and joy. So I'm asking him to share with us his secrets. With that, please help me welcome Dr.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. This is great. So when I was invited to come here, I really didn't know so much about your organizations and such. I just learned, however, that I guess you do have once a month, you have speakers come and talk to you about a variety of different topics. So when I was asked, well, what sort of things would you like me to speak about, we shared this possible list of things to do, and I said, oh, really? In an hour? So I've spoken about many of these things at other times. I thought, oh yeah, I can put together something like this. But when you're ever challenged with a lot of topics, so for example, you're finally going to be talking about all your thesis work and all the complete great information you gathered, all the conclusions you reached like that. One strategy to present all that information in a relatively short amount of time you might have to do so would be to speak very quickly. So today what I'm going to talk about is very quickly. We're trying to go right through these things in about 45 slides. We'll go through them very quickly. If you have any questions, that's wait until the end. I'll be very fast. That's the only way I'm going to do this. Okay, I think I'm going to try a different strategy. So what I've decided to do is kind of try to generalize these things a little bit more and talk about communication strategies in both more professional and public audiences. Then also talk about striving and trying to survive graduate school a little bit. Talk a little bit about interviews, and then also talk a bit about teamwork and collaboration as well. And when I was putting these slides together, again, I've got slides I've used in different venues, and I do have some of them here. But I decided, I'm going to try something a little bit different. So this is going to be an experiment. I swear, pretty much every time I give a talk is an experiment, so you're all my experimental subjects. And so I don't have that many slides, so this is going to be a little more interactive. So I'm going to be hoping to get you actually talking to me and that sort of things. I know in other venues where I've been, where we've given graduate students a chance to kind of talk to us and let us know about things, after a little trepidation in the beginning, all of a sudden it's like I've opened the floodgates and I'm standing in the front of the chair with, whoa, you first, because I know you've all got lots of things you'd like to talk about. So I'm going to invite you to do that sort of thing as we go along today. So I do want to start off by talking about communicating. And communication is going to run pretty much through all the topics. And so learning to become an effective communicator in all different kinds of venues is really important. But it's something you may not necessarily be good at the beginning. It really, like many things, just takes practice. And so you have to try to put yourself in situations where you're constantly forced to do that sort of thing. And you do get better at it the more you try it. In many of the venues, you may find yourself in this sort of thing. So you, the speaker, and your audience here, two things. There's information and then there's feedback going between these two partners in the communication. Now in some situations it seems like there's some information but there's a lot more feedback coming back. So you as a speaker may be really feeling under the stress. So this is the sort of thing when you're standing in front of your graduate committee or giving a scientific presentation, is that you feel very stressful. I'm giving them all this information, but I'm not feeling a lot of love from the audience. I'm just feeling a lot of criticism coming this way. So the feedback can sometimes overwhelm you try to help you deal with that, figure that out, but it really isn't exactly this way. It doesn't have to be. In other situations, it can feel more like it's going this way. Just for example, if any of you have ever taught or been a teaching assistant or something like this, you feel like you're getting lots of information and you're talking to a bunch of stones. It's like, hello, am I getting across this sort of thing? So this sometimes, but it doesn't have to be in the classroom that way either. What you're ultimately shooting for is a more balanced flow of communication back and forth. And that's the sort of thing I would like to stress for you, is to do this sort of thing. Is to try to really approach any sort of communication activity, whether it be in a classroom or in a seminar or even just a one-on-one conversation, that it's a team process. So you are working with that audience as a team. And so you're helping one another to get to the goal that you want to be getting to for whatever it is you're trying to communicate. And so for that to work, you have to be attentive to that audience. You really have to be paying attention. You need to learn how to pay attention to that sort of thing. Actually, this is going to segue at the end. I'm going to talk about the process of improvisation. So you may have come or heard about improvisation. You may have even gone to improvisational shows. It's sometimes called improv. And usually it's a comedy sort of thing. There have been television shows of improv comedy, but it isn't always comedy. It's actually a theatrical technique, and it's used in the arts. But it also can be a very effective communication strategy for learning how to pay very close attention to an audience, learning about what their needs are, and being able to not only work with those, but to feed back to them in a positive manner. So you keep a conversation or any sort of presentation going in a very positive way, regardless of what may be going on, and steering it in the direction that you want to go to ultimately get the points across that you want to. But it takes paying close attention to your audience and listening and looking for nonverbals and that sort of thing. And that's really the essence of what improvisation is. And so as I'm going to talk about later on, next spring, I'm going to be trying to bring some professional improvisers here to campus to have some workshops for graduate students to be able to practice some improvisational skills to try to promote very effective communication. So I'm going to be passing around some cards at the end asking you for like what are good times to do such a thing. I'll say that to the end. But that's one reason I thought I'd try to make my presentation today be a little more improvisational. So I'll be trying to practice what I'm preaching, more or less. So I'll be working with you, talking to you, and hopefully getting feedback and trying to establish some kind of effective communication with you. Come on in, plenty of seats here. And plenty of food over there, please. Okay. Another effective way of communicating, and if any of you have attended these things called 3-minute thesis sessions, and I'll talk about those in a moment too, you may recognize some of these slides. So you're going to be hearing this again. And this is called telling a story. Telling a story is a really effective way to get your message across. And if you're giving a professional talk, sometimes it's a little harder to use strict storytelling, but you can make your entire talk a story. And you can lead your audience along in ways that do that. And I go into much more detail in this 3-minute thesis, so I'm not going to go through all the things I talked about there. But I just want to let you know that storytelling is a very effective way to have your audience remember something. Because we've all been to a million scientific engineering presentations and things, and a week later we barely remember anything we heard in those things. It's not because the speakers weren't good speakers and they weren't saying interesting things. It's just hard for our minds sometimes to retain these sort of things. But if you frame things in a story, our minds are virtually hardwired as storytellers and story listeners. We've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years. So if you can tap into that, then you can effectively get your message across and let people retain that. And so I took this slide, well actually, they had a slide or a picture with Arnold Schwarzenegger there, but I didn't want to use Arnold. So I used this guy from Kids Game from this source here to show that in Hollywood, or anyone telling a story, realize there are different ways to appeal to people, and primarily in your sort of professional talks, you're going to be appealing to the head or the logical mind of your listeners. That's a normal way you do it in academia or in industry when you're talking about a technical subject, and that's just fine. And most of your talks oftentimes will be that way. But even in that context, you can make a storytelling process to make the audience intrigued about what you're saying and really grab their curiosity level or something like that. Actually, a more memorable thing for stories because, again, we're wired for this, is to have stories that appeal to the heart. That may be tough to do if you're dealing with a very technical subject. But there may be some reason that that subject is being studied. There's something to do with diseases, or so you may even have a personal story why this subject is of interest to you. So even if you can't make your entire talk into a story, you may have begin your talk with a story that really appeals to the person's heart or mind, and then it makes the whole purpose of what you're doing more memorable. So that should be all they walk away with. As long as you can get your point across right in that initial story, you've got to make them go to sleep for the rest of your talk. And they'll come away and still carry away your message. You can also appeal to the gut, humor, or instinct, or something like that. It's a little tougher to do that in the sort of presentations you will probably be doing. You don't want to stand up there. And I would actually suggest, you may feel like when you make your slides that I would throw in some funny joke here, or maybe even a cartoon or something like that. Honestly, they usually fall flat on their face. Because people aren't usually coming to that to be entertained. And it can even be dangerous. I've seen at least 2 presentations where someone tried to do a joke, and it not only fell on his face, but I almost marched out the room and wrote to their deans and said, this person should just be fired for what they just said. Again, it's really offensive. So you have to be very, very careful with humor in presentations. And ordinarily, I veer away from that. That doesn't mean you can't present it in a way that's kind of human-like, so that it appeals. And then, of course, at Hollywood, appealing with sex. But you're not going to do this. You're not trying to sell movies for a lot of money. So the other thing that I talk about in 3-minute piece of presentations I get, and I think this is worthwhile not only for making presentations, but for everything you're going to do for the rest of your professional life, is to take whatever it is that you want people to remember, whatever message you're trying to communicate, before you go into a job interview, before you go into a talk, or you're preparing a talk, anything like that, you need to sit down with yourself and figure out, what is my message? What is the core of everything I've been doing? What is that? And a good way to start doing that is come up with a single word that conveys that message. It's hard. It's not easy. But what if they didn't remember nothing about your presentation at all? If that one word sticks in their head, you're there. So think about what that one word is. So it's very easy sometimes to make talks longer and longer and longer, writing longer and longer and longer. It's very much harder to cut it back. So why not start right away with just one word? And that one word can be a variety of different things. It could be so what question, why should they care about this? Why do you care about this topic? Why it's important, all these other sort of things. These could be the essence of what that one word is. So after you come up with that one word, then come up with a sentence. Broaden it out a little bit, explain a little more what you're trying to get across. And that can be, so what's your main point? What do you want your listener to remember? One way you can do that this particular group recommended you do is you use a format that they call the and, but, therefore, ABT method. So you take whatever sentence you're trying to make, you say, well, there's this information, and we had that as a part of our topic, but there was this. I want to answer the question about that. Therefore, we're doing this. You can frame everything in that and make that a memorable part of it. You've got it. They'll be able to walk away knowing, that's what they're doing. That's why it's important, and this is the approach they're taking to do that. So that makes it very simple. And then you can again expand that now into a full paragraph about that, and then go on. Once you have the essence of that, you can go talk to any audience. Because going from that then to talk to people who are technically in your area, so you can use more jargon and that sort of thing because they'll understand you. Or if you have to go talk to the public, so you need to try to change the words that you use so it's a little more understandable. Or you're going home for Thanksgiving and you're talking to your mom about it. So you can change it for that. Once you've got that core, you can then gear it up for any audience you want. So it's much easier to do that than to try to whittle it down for specific audiences like that. So this is a good exercise to go through. It gets also to something I'll mention later in terms of interviewing things. It's like elevators, what are called elevator speeches. You've probably heard that before. If you don't know what an elevator speech is, what this is supposed to mean is this: suppose you were in a building, you got on the elevator, Bill Gates walked in, there with you. It's just the two of you on an elevator going up to a high floor in the building. And now you've got your chance to sell your project to Bill Gates, because when he gets so intrigued by what you're doing, he's going to pull out his wallet and give you $1 million for whatever it is you're doing. So you've got your elevator speech. And it may be only 2 minutes or whatever long in the elevator ride, but that's it. And it's a useful thing to have available when you're going out and talking to anybody, especially in job interviews, visits to places and things like that. Because you're going to be talking to a wide variety of people, many of whom don't know the technical details about what you do. So if you have some short little way to concisely explain what it is you want, and again, to come away with that one, at least that one word that you think is what it is, or the one sentence, then you're good. So it's good to have that in your back pocket. Another effective way of doing that, if you're going to be just talking one-on-one or a small number of people, to make your message really come across, and this may apply actually to more of you, if you're doing engineering sort of things where there actually are physical objects and it's not all just computational or something like that, or even in the computational area, if there's some small object that really encapsulates what your project is all about, and you can carry that small object with you in your pocket or purse or somewhere around. So if you're going somewhere doing things and someone asks you about it, you go, well, here's my elevator's pitch, and oh, by the way, here's this little thing. Having and put it in their hand, and then having something you can use in physical you can look at really sticks with people. Really does. Much more so than all the words coming out of your mouth. So I've heard people do this sort of thing, and it really does work. Just having some small object that's easy to carry around, and it doesn't die. So if you're into biology, you may not want something living. But something you can give to someone, that really is a very effective way of communicating things. And it's a good idea. Actually, in this group that came up with this idea, the last guy who says movie trailer, and I mentioned this, did my thesis thing. They actually suggest you making a movie trailer out of your topic. And if you see movie trailers, they're about 2.5 to 3 minutes long. So they make really effective little elevator speeches. What you're using to make your little presentation there as a movie trailer, that'd be memorable. But it might not work over every topic. But it actually is a good intellectual exercise, a good exercise to do that, to give you an idea. There's a structure to movie trailers that you can use as a template you can use when making your. So I'm going to give a little advertisement here for this thing called 3-minute thesis competition. So this is an effective way to practice try and get your message down. So you got all your thesis information, and now can you tell someone that in 3 minutes to an audience that is not in your area of expertise? And that's what this is all about. It's an international competition. Some of you, again, may have heard of it. It's an international competition where you get videotaped doing this. Here at UConn, we have our own competition here. The winner of that then can go off to the international competition. And so you basically stand in front of a camera, and you have one slide that just is static. It just sits there. And you give 3 minutes. That's it. It's exactly 3 minutes. It can be a little less. It can be no more than 3 minutes. And so this website here, the UConn website here, can give you more information about that. So the competition is going to be at the end of this month. So you got plenty of time. You can still sign up for it and do it. I have one more workshop. I'm going to be talking about how to condense your thesis down to 3 minutes. We have another workshop in which someone else talks about more or less the nuts and bolts of standing and talking in front of people and making slides and all those sort of things. So we have those 2 workshops. You don't have to attend those at all. You can just wing it and try to do it yourself. There's plenty of information online from all over the world where people have had these competitions, gives you lots of tips and advice about that. So this is a useful exercise, even if you don't actually go to the competition, but going through that process to be able to get your own elevator speech with that available. So, surviving graduate school. And this is where I'm going to be. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put all the bullet points on there. That's just one. So these are some of the important things I've discovered over time to help you to try to deal with the stresses of graduate school. Realize also that your career is a lifetime. So you don't have to accomplish everything while you're in graduate school, or this month, or something like that. But it's everything. You're going to probably change what you do over time as well. I remember going to something where they asked people to raise your hand. I'm not going to have you do this. asking how many of the audiences as postdocs were planning on going into an academic career. About half the hands went up. And then the speaker informed me, well, you realize only about 7% of you are going to make it into academia, given the way the jobs are, and it's true. Now, I think you have an advantage in engineering because there's a longer tradition of going into private industry than there are in some of the other scientific disciplines. So that's, I think, very useful. So you really have to plan for almost any eventuality. You just don't really know, and things can change certainly along through your career. So be flexible about things. When you're struggling away in graduate school or even beyond into your professional career, make sure you try to prioritize your time as best you can. You begin to get a sense of what times of day are good for you to do different things. So I know for myself, early in the morning, if I got to do something very intellectual, creative sort of things, I try to get that done first thing in the morning. Later on in the morning, I still can do reasonably things, but once I've eaten lunch, boom, the brain's going. Actually, I've learned over time to take a nap too. This sounds crazy, but I don't know, crawl under the desk, fall asleep in a chair, do something. I think they used to say Leonardo da Vinci and all these sort of people used to take cat naps and things like that. It's really true. I mean, I know for me, once I eat food, metabolism just goes right. It's like the lion going to sleep under the tree, sort of thing. That happens to me. But once I've done that, then I'm fine for the rest of the day. If I don't, all day afternoon long. So get to know your own body rhythms about what is the best time of day to do different sort of things. Exercise. Don't be afraid to say no to things. Not be a little tough sometimes early on when you're in a job. You don't want to say no too often. But even then, talk to people who've been around a little longer, find out what are the important things to say yes to and what are the different sort of things. Sometimes you have to do kind of grunt job and volunteer, but try to say no as much as you can. I don't know if it's still quite the same for women and minorities as it used to be, but I remember one woman academic said she had a little post-it note next to her phone because she'd always be asked to be on virtually every committee on campus because they wanted to have a woman on that committee. So she had all these little different ways of saying no. So she wasn't using the same one all the time. So she could just kind of pick on the list about, this is the way I'm going to say no to this person. And so it was really true. And I remember hearing another Hispanic professor who's very well known. He had the same sort of thing. He just finally learned to just say no and listen. Now, these people were well along in careers for that sort of thing. But even still, you got to be careful. You really get overwhelmed. You're the only one who can monitor that. These others, exercise, eat well, and sleep well. Really pay attention to your physical body. I learned this the hard way along the way. You really need to take care of yourself. So sometimes it helps for exercising to find a partner to go exercise with. There's nothing better than being shamed into going out to exercise when you don't really want to. The other strategy I took is injure yourself. Go out and hurt yourself, not too badly, and then do physical therapy, where you're forced to do that. That's actually what worked for me. Actually, I did the thing with my wife of swimming for a while when I was in graduate school and postdoc. That worked great, and we both got busy with kids and all that sort of thing. And so many years went by, and then I got hurt. Blew up my ACL, physical therapy, and I said, I got an opportunity here. And so I kept going and kept doing the physical therapy, and I've been exercising ever since. It makes a huge difference in your whole day. Attentiveness, everything makes an enormous difference. So try to get into some kind of exercise routine on a regular basis. Yoga, meditation, or watch cartoons, whatever it is that allows you to relax, to hit that state of things. Nothing's an emergency unless there really is an emergency. And this last one, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but virtually everyone's out there a failure at some point. And actually, again, I've read also women tend to do that more than men. I don't know if it's still true or not. But I know I felt like a failure a lot of times. And I know I've had those days when I said, McDonald's would be an awful lot easier job than we were at school. I go in, do it from then to then. I go home and I'm not going to think about hamburgers or French fries or anything. That's got to be easier than this graduate school stuff. So, yeah, you're going to think that. It's because you're pushing yourself. And that's just the way it is. But realize, be nice to yourself. And at some point, tell yourself, pretty good. I mean, like was said at the beginning, you're all in graduate school. Hooray! Feel good about that. You made it. I mean, how many people are there? Go look at the statistics. How many people not only have gone to college, but how many people have gone to professional school? It's a tiny number. You know, a real tiny fraction of the population. So, yeah. Another thing, when you're really feeling bad about it, if you got any baby pictures or little kid pictures of yourself when you're all cute, not that you're not cute now. We were all cuter when we were younger. I had hair. Well, not at the beginning. Then I did. Anyway, get a picture of yourself as when you're little and stick it in your bathroom mirror. Seriously. And then in the morning, you go, just look at that and go, I'm going to take care of you. Because you will. Because we're all so outward directed. We won't take care of ourselves. Yeah, you're a schmuck. No. I'm a little kid. Yeah, you're going to take care of that little kid. Take care of that little kid. You need to. It's the only way to survive this. I mean, if you're banging around yourself all the time saying, I'm a failure, it's going to be, you're really being too hard on yourself. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some credit because you really are doing well. Yeah, you got the minute. But you're doing work. So do that. I'm going to give you a chance to talk. Well, go ahead and give you a chance to talk. All right. Any other sort of like survival questions or feelings you got about graduate school? I know it's tough. It's really not a pleasant time. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a long break, but how do you, students can get advisors? Some they have advisors that they join.
Oh, they have those advisors. Yeah. Sometimes you get, yes, you do that. Well, yeah, it's easy to say for me to say. Yeah, you're going to have to deal sometimes with difficult things coming in here. Realize that there's 200 years of tradition behind all of this, that there is a right way to do everything, and that right way is to be true to a pulp, so you come out a better person. I remember when my brother went to law school, the same thing happened there. First year, talk to anyone who's gone to law school, first year law is hell. And it's meant to be because they had hundreds of years of doing this to people. And so basically his idea was what they do in first year law is they cut open the top of your head, they take your brain out, they smash it around, and then they put it in the shape of a lawyer, an attorney's brain, and put it back in there. And that sort of thing. That's kind of exactly what's happening in any profession. So there's this feeling like I've got to bang that brain down to try to get it down and put it in there. In the process, they're also banging down your self-esteem and everything else along the way. So realize that it may be coming from a sense of love. Even though they may not feel that way, but realize it's the only way they know how to do it. So try to make as best a positive thing. And that's kind of the same sort of thing about what improvisation is. One of the things in improv is there's one of the rules of improv is yes and. So if you're with a partner and your partner suggests something, about the scene that you're trying to do, no matter what planet it sounds like they're coming from with that suggestion, the idea is you say yes, if not physically, you just acknowledge that that is the reality now because they just created it here on stage, and we're going to then do this with it. You never say yes, but, or you never say no, because the scene just stops. So it's always a very positive way of doing things. So whatever life throws at you, try to practice saying yes, and even if it's like, yes, and try to do something with it. That's the best you can do sometimes. And if it gets, sometimes that advisor can really get overbearing. If it really gets to be unprofessional, then hopefully you've got an ombudsman or something like that to talk. So it sometimes can get seriously wrong, and you don't have to put up with whatever's coming at you. And so if you really feel like there's any ethical issues or anything like where it's just too much, career is not, it's a lifetime. You can change. That help? Yeah, there are those people.
It's practice.
It takes practice, yes.
So you mentioned don't be afraid to say no, but I've
Yeah.
also seen people really be successful when they're not afraid to say yes.
No. Don't be afraid to grab an opportunity, even if it might be frightening. Absolutely, no. say, don't overwhelm yourself. Because even if you say yes to this, yes to this, yes to this, all of a sudden you can't do any of them well because you've just overdone. But yes, that is very true. So do grab a hold of opportunities that seem to present themselves to you, even though, you know, you don't feel like I really could do that. You know, push yourself a little bit. Maybe you actually can. Try to be realistic about it. But yeah, take advantage of things. I mean, and I plenty of times I've said, yeah, I'll do that, and then I get home and I go, what? What did I just say? Why did I just say yes to that? But oftentimes I'll find out later on, I'm really glad I did do that. And even if you did say yes to something and it's just not working out, then you can kind of say, you know what? Maybe I should have said no. Just be realistic about it. But yeah, don't be afraid to take advantage of things that seem like they could go in the direction you want to go. And that's the other sort of thing. As you run along, you're going to begin to realize what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and be honest about it. You know, you can't be good at everything. There are going to be some things you're good at, other things, you know, that's really not my cup of tea. So, but that takes just experience to begin to realize that. Other sort of survival kind of things that are on your mind? Oh, there we go. Yes, in my peripheral vision, so I am, yeah.
So you said one of the big things is not thinking of failure. But I guess a lot of times people have a long-range project where you have no real conclusion. It can be really well.
That was my project, thank you so much. Go ahead.
So how do you mean tips when you're saying it's not gonna, it's gonna take a month to get the results? How do you not think you're a failure for a long
Yeah,
time?
well, look at the end game. I mean, well, it's going to work or it's not going to work. Maybe you're not going to do this for the next 10 years. Yeah, being able to carry on day to day when it looks like it's just not working, things are going badly. I mean, hopefully you've got a company that you can commiserate with. I mean, you just sit down and go, yeah, sort of thing, yeah. Have a support network is very helpful in that sort of thing. I remember the first 3 years of my PhD project was just like, my advisor always, told the story about me coming in his office. I was doing chromatography, so and he remembers the time I sat in his office, it was chromatograph, and I looked like going down through it out. And I was showing him, and I finally said, that little bump there, that's the compound. And I don't know how many hundreds and thousands of these chromatograms I run, and finally, that little bit, that was it. And it really was, and then after that, they were a lot of years of nothing. Yeah, yeah, support network.